We're at Solar and Storage Live here at the NEC in Birmingham, where you've joined me at the GivEnergy stand. They've got this new product that you won't have seen anywhere else, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive on this and the GivEnergy All-in-One V2 with Paul Landregan. This is going to be so powerful. Let's go. I've managed to collar Paul, and he's going to tell me more things you need to know about this Gen4 hybrid inverter set and how this might suit your home. This is an interesting one. Paul, I know nothing about this. It's caused me by surprise. Tell me a little bit more about it, because I want to know.
So hi, yeah, so this is the new Generation 4 hybrid inverter. So the reason this is different, it's a third the size of its predecessor, the Generation 3, but it's also a much higher power. This inverter is a 6 kilowatt hybrid inverter. They can have up to 9 kilowatts of solar across 2 strings. What makes it a little bit more different is it uses our new intelligent battery structure. Each of these batteries is 5.2 kilowatts in size, is stackable, user swappable, user upgradable.
Traditional hybrid systems, for anyone watching this, effectively these would always either be amalgamated into one unit, which
That's
I believe
correct,
this
yeah.
can be, or they would have to be really close by.
The way these connect to each other is they use the traditional MC4 solar connectors. So in theory, there is no reason why these two cannot be located in separate locations. So for example, you could have the solar inverter with the PV on the roof, this could be up in the attic, and you could then mount these batteries in some other location, in the garage, the utility room, or even outside. And between them is no longer a big thick battery cable, you've just got a nice thin solar cable.
So traditionally, again, most end users would have a DC cable that runs outside their home into the inverter, but actually that DC cable would run from the inverter to the battery pack.
That's correct.
What that means is we can effectively get rid of some of the stuff up into the attic, the parts effectively where we've not got risk, we can just get them up and we can get them out the way. If you're a couple coming up to retirement, then maybe one battery pack would do the trick. If you're a bit more of a family of 3, 4, then maybe 2 battery stacks. But how many battery stacks can you have in total, Paul?
So what we're looking at is that at the moment there's no set number, but we're probably looking at 5 to 6 in one stack.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to add more than one stack. So as you notice on the top here, you've got an in and an out. So there's actually, in theory, there is no limit to the number of stacks you can have with the inverter.
What about house backup? Is there a gateway to go with this?
So there's no gateway as such with this inverter. Like our Generation 3, it has a grid input and it has an EPS, UPS output. So like all of our products, you can put 1 circuit, 2 circuits, or a whole small consumer unit on the backup side of this inverter, just like you can with all of our products.
So for end users, effectively, this kit, in the event that you went off-grid, you could basically set it up to be able to back up a double socket, or you could have a few circuits that you could select
Correct,
as part
yeah.
of it. Now, one of the interesting things that I saw, if we just can kind of move across here, is these two. Now, it looks remarkably the same as this one here, except for it's got this, like, cool front. I actually compared it to, we install Anderson EV chargers. They don't do battery storage, but they offer, like, modular and, like, interchangeable colour fronts that I think, well, they look pretty cool, to be honest. I've not really seen it with any other manufacturer.
So the whole idea of the colour is you can put these in places and make them blend in. So you can get, the traditional brown, the light brown, the grey, or various different colours. I particularly like the carbon fibre, but the whole idea is you can put it somewhere and make it blend in. This particular setup, you've got the batteries and the inverter are a separate entity. With this setup, they're identical batteries and it's an identical inverter, but it's in a box. So it looks and blends just like the batteries. This inverter can live anywhere in the stack. It's completely customizable where you sit it.
So effectively, from a customer's perspective, I suppose this can simply just be put at the side of their home, and that's it. It looks quite neat and tidy. So temperature settings, so for consumers, do they need a rain canopy like the older style systems?
No canopy requirements whatsoever.
Okay, and the inverter that sits down there, is that any different from the one that's up here?
No, it's identical.
Just put in essentially
It's just in a different box, yeah.
Okay, so is there like an energy retention amount after 15 years on the warranty? How's that work?
Yeah, it's the same as all our other batteries. It's the exact same chemistry as our other batteries. So you're looking at 70% energy retention by the end of the warranty period. One thing you also need to know is when we say these are 5.2 kilowatt hours, that's 5.2 kilowatt hours usable.
So 100%.
So 100% depth of discharge.
Is that with the 4% energy retention still kept?
Yeah, the 4% is still reserved.
Okay.
And the reason we reserve that energy is if you have if the power fails, it allows the inverter to remain connected to the cloud so we can monitor what the inverter is doing during that power outage.
Following on from our interview in December, we talked a lot about the All-in-One version 2. Now, at the time, I'd kind of seen sneaky peeks of it, but it wasn't ready for distribution or for installation. However, a little birdie told me that this is in the future. This is kind of a future up-and-coming product. It's not available yet, so you'd have to rely upon the existing Gen 3 inverter if you want to install now. But the All-in-One version 2 is due to come out and hit the shelves really shortly. So I'm interested in finding out a little bit more and how that differentiated from our original interview and the one we've got live here today. So this is the All-in-One version 2. Now, we did get the inside scoop on this previously, but I want to understand from Paul how this changed from our original interview. Why would somebody choose GivEnergy over, say, a Powerwall 3 or a SigEnergy kit? Why go for this?
One of the key advantages of the All-in-One 2 is this: we've now upgraded the power from a 6 kilowatt to a 12. So you get 12 kilowatts of discharge and 6 or 12 kilowatts of charge.
Okay.
We'll come on to why there's a difference slightly later. The other benefit is you can have it as an AC coupled, like you could previously, or you can have it as a hybrid by adding the extra module on top. It has 6 independent MPPT trackers.
So if I've got a little bit of a scraggly roof, I could go, I'll wire that into one, which if you've got a limited number of maximum power point trackers, say 2, you may only be limited to 2 orientations without adding optimizers or microinverters, which is where that's important.
You could have as small as 2 panels on one tracker.
Okay.
So as low as 60 volts all the way up to 600 volts.
You mentioned a charge and discharge rate. What's the overall capacity of the battery?
So the overall capacity remains unchanged from the All-in-One 1. It's still 13.5 kilowatt hours. The key difference with the All-in-One 2 is it's expandable by adding extra battery packs. So you can add at this stage a further 2 battery packs, which brings you to 40.5 kilowatt hours of storage.
And you mentioned a charge rate. Is that done if I add an extra battery pack?
Yes, so with just the internal battery pack, it's a 6 kilowatt charge, 12 discharge. Once you add at least one more additional battery pack, it gives you 12 charge and 12 discharge, which beats all of our competitors.
Traditionally, GivEnergy products, for context, have a 12-year unlimited cycles warranty, whereas I've seen on this sticker here that
It's now a 15-year warranty.
And what's the energy retention? Is it similar to the other product we've just had a look at?
Yeah, about 70% by the end of the warranty period.
What's different about the gateway for end users versus perhaps the predecessor that they'd be used to?
So the gateway, as differences for the end user, as you see on the sticker here, we've got now a 0-millisecond switchover. Previous technology, we were down to sub 20 milliseconds, and as technology's evolved, we've tweaked and tweaked and tweaked. We've now got down to 0 milliseconds. There is no switchover whatsoever.
So a 0-millisecond switchover, again for context, would be I'm in a house, I'm there cooking my tea, and if I have a 20 millisecond switchover time, you would notice the lights flicker. If you have a smart system, effectively that could cut off and you'd have to reset it. It may well be the case that you're resetting clocks and things along those lines. Not really, it's a first world problem to have, but a little tiny layover can sometimes cause that. Whereas what you're saying is, you don't even notice the lights flicker when it changes over.
That's correct, yeah. So sensitive electronics are no longer, will even recognise that there's been a switchover. So one of the key differences with this gateway over the previous gateway is you've what's called smart loads. So you could connect your hot tub to that smart load, and what you can do then is apply some logic, be it in state of charge, is at whatever percentage you want, switch on the smart load, or you can use external logic or some sort of API control. There's a cheap tariff slot, switch on the hot tub.
Interesting, so we can dynamically change and charge loads, which has changed from this.
So previously you could dynamically charge the battery on these slots. Now you can do something else with another item, such as a hot tub or a water heater.
Powerwall, for example, has 3 maximum power point trackers, whereas your GivEnergy All-in-One has 6. You have a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery, which is very similar. We can have more solar on this. What's the size of inverter? What's the maximum?
So the maximum solar you can have here is 20 kilowatts.
So that is very comparable in that respect. The gateway seems to offer very... So I suppose the biggest thing it boils down to is from a price perspective. So a Powerwall 3 would be about $7,500 with a gateway. Without a gateway, so battery only, we can't take away the inverter. So in that scenario, say $6,500-ish. what would I expect to pay for with or without? Can I install it with or without a gateway? Is that right?
You can install it with or without the gateway, yes.
So what would I expect to pay for a gateway, roughly speaking? I won't hold you to it, but a gateway and one of these installed from an installer in the UK, what would I, without solar panels?
On a standard install, you're probably looking at sub £6,500.
So it's essentially £1,000 cheaper, and we're trying to pip everybody essentially.
Correct, yes.
That's really interesting. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time for the deep dive of the new product and the all-in-one GivEnergy V2. Again, just double check, when's this due out?
They're already here in the UK.
So effectively, probably by the time this was released, people will be able to purchase one of these. Well, that's super interesting. Thank you so much. If you do want to have a watch of the previous interview I did with Paul, where we deep dive even further onto this, that was back in December, you're more than welcome to have a watch of that on the channel. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.